Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hey, and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass. With me today is my new friend, Nick Prefontaine. Say hi, Nick.
Hello, Angie. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a lovely, weirdly snowy day here I'm currently in Flagstaff, Arizona, but it's the kind of snow that never makes it to the ground. So it's really interesting to watch.
That's interesting that you have snow. You look at snow as a good thing in Arizona. That's interesting.
Well, I just got up to the mountains. I came here from Santa Fe last week where it was snowing a lot more than I expected. So it's been really interesting. Is it snowy and cold where you're at?
Yeah, I'm in the Northeast. I'm in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm talking to you from our office in Middletown, Rhode Island, but which is right next to it in Newport, Rhode Island. So yeah,
that's fantastic. And we're recording this in February for context for people. If you're listening in July and you're like, why the hell are y'all talking about snow? But anyway, tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So whenever people ask me about how I got started and what my story is and everything like that, I like to go back to when I was at ski club with my friends back in 2003. And we were going to the mountain. We all brought our stuff on the bus to get ready so we didn't have to miss any time. And then we got there, as you can imagine. Then we got there and headed straight for the top. Now, on the way going up to the top, Angie, we noticed that it was very icy. People were wiping out just because it had been raining earlier. So I got to the top, and it wasn't. I'm going to use the term that you used earlier. It wasn't my first rodeo. So I was pretty confident on a snowboard. And my friends and I were. So we got to the top, and everyone was talking about, well, you'd be crazy to hit the biggest jump in the terrain park under these conditions. And of course, like I take any slight to this day, I took it as a challenge. So I took that up as a challenge and buckled in and headed right for that jump with all my speed. But actually, Angie, going up to it, I caught the edge of my snowboard on the snow, which kind of threw me off balance. So I was forced to go off the jump, but I was going so fast, it wasn't like I could stop. So in the air, I rotated, and then I ended up landing on my head.
Oh, good Lord. Wow.
So I actually was in a coma for 3 weeks. And the doctors, while I was in the coma, the doctors told my parents, well, he's probably not going to be able to walk, talk, or eat again.
Wow.
Then after that time in the ICU, they tell me it was 3 weeks, but I don't recall a month, just because I was coming off. It was a partially induced coma. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. So I was coming off the drug. So I really don't remember a month, because they said the impact alone was enough to knock me out for 7 to 10 days, just the impact alone. But then they had to medicate me. They had to put me on drugs because they were afraid if I woke up and I started looking around at the hospital, I would start panicking, and the swelling in my brain would go up, and then potentially I could die. So that's why they induced me in a coma, and that's why I was in the coma for 3 weeks.
Wow, that's intense. I mean, I can't even imagine an experience like that. That's fascinating. I have a ton of questions, but you said when you wanted to talk about your business that you like to start there. Why is that the place that you like to start?
Well, I was just going to talk about that. That's one of my experiences, one of my life experiences of overcoming adversity, that I feel that really helps me relate to people that are going through the same thing. That's why I always kind of relate back to this and share my story and tell people about my story, because going through that experience really enabled me. I was unconscious of it at the time, but the system that I used to recover during the time that I was there, well, in the hospital, in which I haven't touched on anything like that, but that's a step system. And that's what we teach at Common Goal to people, to help them overcome and just take it one step at a time. Because really we feel that there's so much overwhelm and crisis in the world, that if you just focus on taking one step at a time, the next step always becomes available to you.
Ooh, I love that so much. So I'm going to circle back to that, but tell me a little bit more about Common Goal and your business. And then I think we'll go back and walk people through this one step at a time, because I really love this.
Well, Angie, through our company, Common Goal, we inspire and lead motivated people to their common goal. And our mission is to provide people with the support and tools they need to achieve their limitless potential.
Ooh.
And like I was talking about earlier, without this, I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but there is so much that encompasses when you're going through an experience like that encompasses, well, I got to do this, and the doctors tell me this. And if you can just focus on one step at a time, everything else becomes possible. So that's really the system that we teach all of our clients.
I love that, especially given the context and the personal trauma of that accident that you experienced. At the risk of getting a little bit personal, when you were coming out of it and you got that news, I'm assuming that they told you the same thing they told the parents, that they didn't think that you would walk, talk, feed yourself. What was your reaction to that as you came around?
Well, that's interesting because, and I recently shared this with someone, that I didn't have any recollection of quote unquote waking up, because people are like, oh, you were in a coma for 3 weeks. What was it like to wake up? I didn't, because I was coming off the drugs. I don't remember a month. And another interesting thing that happened in there is my parents didn't share that with me. They didn't. The doctors would always, especially early on in my recovery, Angie, the doctors would always come into my hospital room and wanting to share news that was, as you can imagine, worse and worse and worse. Oof. Especially at the beginning. And my parents always stopped them when they came into my room and started talking to them. They said, not here, not in front of him. And they made them go outside into the hall or into another room to explain what was going on with me. So they made the decision for me to have a positive mindset at the very beginning.
I love that, because it recalls, and I want to say this is several years back, maybe even 10 years ago, but I remember driving along, listening to NPR and hearing a very interesting study about people being told they have 6 months to live, usually passing away within 6 months, like if not to the day. And them doing a study over the long term of people that were told that this is the specific amount of time that you have and the limitations that you'll experience, versus people not being given that information. And by and large, the people not given a specific deadline or limitations wound up having astonishing recovery. So do you think that helped you set your mind to, yep, I'm going to walk, I'm going to talk, I'm going to eat, I'm going to recover?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that played an instrumental role in my recovery, in that I didn't I didn't know any other way. I got up every day and I did what was in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever, and there was a moment of doubt. There was like one or two moment of doubt in there where I was just appraising my situation. Like, what, am I ever going to be able to walk again? And it was my mom that was there that said to me, she didn't even hesitate. She said, yeah, of course, that's what we're doing here, is just to get everything back. And then we're going to go back. We're going to go home. We're going to go back to living the way we were before this experience.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So she didn't hesitate on that.
I love that. There is a certain comfort sometimes in kind of sinking into the negative news. I feel like there's kind of 2 points to that, where someone is either comforted just by the fact that they know what's going on around them, right? Information is some sort of comfort and insulation against the bad news. But then there's also this like, okay, the grieving process, the moving on process can begin now that I have the bad news. And so it's interesting to me how often just that decision to like hear the news, or let's not hear the news, let's move forward as if that news doesn't exist, can almost change somebody's future. Like the power of the mind and healing. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that really sounds like they set you up on a positive footing.
Absolutely. No, that brought a couple things to mind for me. So one of the things that they really believed in, and I'm starting to uncover right now, like I'm in that process, is the body's natural ability to heal itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what came to mind when you said that about the mind, the power of the mind. Yes, the power of the mind, but not only the mind, the body, the power of the body's, the power of the body's ability to heal itself is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
for sure.
I haven't been through nearly as bad of an accident as that, but it's always astonishing to me, after some sort of injury, the pain usually gets a little bit worse over the course of the next couple of days as the healing starts and, you're swelling and the body's kicking in. But it's always been interesting to me that day that you wake up and the pain is less and it's noticeable. Those are the days that I just wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful. This body is a powerful machine. Life is not perfect, but I'm here. Let's go. Woo, love it.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to the hospital, because you mentioned now that what you work on with your clients is kind of this step-by-step process that you learned through the process of your healing. What made you realize that you had kind of accidentally created a process? I know I put you on the spot. So
well, no, that's a good question. I really didn't. It didn't even occur to me then, or even shortly after that's what happened. That's just my family and the environment that I grew up in. My way of being is, okay, you have a setback. Well, just like get up and deal with it one step at a time. And I never thought about making it a system that I'm now able to teach, or we're now able to teach at Common Goal, because I just did it almost like, yeah, that's what you do.
Yep.
You get up and do that. And I thought it was normal. So I thought, and I've shared this with several people, Angie, I thought that, well, yeah, I got in a snowboarding accident and I wasn't able to walk, talk, or eat again. I just got up every day and did the work just like anyone else. Anyone else would do that. Mm-hmm. But what I've been told and what I continue to get reiterated to me is no, not everyone else would do that. I think it's normal, but so part of our work is uncovering that, and really within each one of the individuals, the power that they have, which you and I have already touched on.
Mm-hmm. What I love about what you just said, I was over here just writing some notes because I wanted to make sure that I brought it up. Was you talking about how you didn't realize that there was anything special about that? That was totally normal to you. I've actually encountered something similar with some coaching and even some consulting clients, where when I point out something that is like, wow, that's incredible, that's special, we should share that. And people go, No, really? I mean, that's my everyday. I've never done it any different. I don't understand what's special about that. And so it's always been interesting to me how easily we can dismiss something that comes easily to us as not valuable. And I don't know if that's because, to me, society has this kind of external pressure on all of us to like work really hard. And so we look at this idea and go, well, this is really easy to me. That's probably not worth much.
There's got to be something to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get so used to doing it as just your natural way of being that you're like, yeah, anyone would do that, or that's not worth anything to anyone.
Oh yeah.
So I think what we found is what's more important than the next step is really the first step. Because once you take that first step, there will always be a next step. And we meet so many people who are just stuck because they don't want to take a step because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I was making another note here because we have so much overlap. And I think this is really cool because I encounter a lot of entrepreneurs that will not move forward at all until they know all of the steps. It's like, until I can see a clear path from here to there, I am not going to move. And then they get progressively overwhelmed, defeated, depressed, and wind up giving up on themselves, which is to me always the most heartbreaking part of it, when someone gives up on themselves because they can't see the path. But I love what you just said, because I think that articulates what I want everybody here to understand. There is no path. There's no path. If there is a path, you can't see it because it's too far ahead in the future. It even could just be around the corner and you've got a blind spot, but you're not going to know until you take that first step and get just a little bit more clarity on where to take the next step after that.
That's it. And it's so funny, Angie. I'll share with you that when it comes to anything I've done throughout my whole life, it's just give me some framework of what you want me to do, and then I'm going to take action. I'm going to do it, and then after I've done it at least once, I can always improve on it, and I can always get better. And I've been told by people I work with, whether coaches, mentors, or even people that I work closely with, is that, well, easy, slow down. We have time to make sure that this is a little more dialed in, and you don't have to go so fast. And I don't know, it's really served me well, because once you make that first step, there's always a next step, and there's always a way to improve on it. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get better.
I love that.
Personally, I'm sorry, but personally, you don't. My feeling is you're not going to get better if you just sit there paralyzed by the fact that you're not going to submit something. You're not going to do it perfectly. Just take action. Or
this like ridiculous fear that we have, and I'm just going to call it ridiculous, of looking like a fool, being embarrassed. I'm going to look silly. People are going to laugh at me. So what? You did a thing. Even if you look silly, heaven forbid you have fun with it and go, whoa, that was a little bit of a mistake there. Let's dial it back and try that one again. But I think we get so, especially in entrepreneurship, like there's this whole image thing. There's this whole looking like a pro, your trusted reputation. And we get a little bit too fixated on that sometimes, that we don't allow ourselves to make those kinds of mistakes or missteps.
Yeah, and once you take a first step, you can always get better. Mm-hmm. You can always improve. I think this is important to mention too, that whatever you're trying for the first time new, chances are you're going to suck at it. Yes. And that's okay. That's 100% okay. But after you suck at it, you can get better at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's dispel that notion right now, too, because I think there's a lot of people that hold on to this idea of talent. There's talent and there's skill, and those are two separate but related things. And you might have an innate talent talent for something, but that doesn't mean that you have the skills to get it right the first time.
Yeah.
And it's the skill and the discipline of practicing that talent and developing it with conscious thought and deliberate intention that actually takes the talent to the next level. There are plenty of talented people out there that don't do crap with their talent because they don't feel like they have to try, you know?
Absolutely. Let me right now with the time that we have left, let me share a little bit about the STEP system and
Absolutely.
how your listeners can really get started.
Mm-hmm.
So STEP is an acronym. The first letter S is support. Make sure that you have the support of your family and friends. This frees up so much of your mental energy to focus on accomplishing your objective. Now, it might sound overly simplistic, but this very act of getting everyone on board at the start can save you hours and hours of actual time, worry, and frustration in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Second letter T, trust. Trust that the next step will make itself available to you once you take your first step. This also starts by trusting yourself. Trust that there is a reason that you have this desire or calling inside of you. Follow it.
Mm-hmm.
E, energy. In order to show up in the world and be fully present and available for others, you need to have your energy. If you don't take care of you, health, diet, exercise, how can you expect to take care of and affect others?
Mm-hmm.
P, persistence. That's the final letter. In case if you're following along at home, you get a little bit mixed up. Final letter P, persistence. Once you've taken the first step, keep getting up every day and taking the next step, no matter how small. By continuing to move forward every day, you are building an unstoppable momentum.
I love this. This is so good. And I think we're so in sync on that too, because support is something I talk about a lot with entrepreneurs, but you have to be careful about who you invite to support you because not everybody will. And so, you know, I tell entrepreneurs, if you're starting a business, if you're growing a business, the people that instinctively find the holes under the guise of thinking that they're going to help you, or they like pick apart your idea, or they share their fears thinking that they're trying to help you, that's probably not the first round of support. Maybe go to the people that are like, yes, that's exciting. How can I help? And then invite the people that find the holes and the improvements and stuff to join you later after you've got the enthusiastic support. Do you have thoughts on that?
And they might be well-intentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about those people who don't want to see you succeed. They might be well-intentioned, but they're just what they provide for support or like guidance isn't really doesn't line up with what you're looking to accomplish. They might be genuinely trying to help, but you just have to differentiate and know which is which.
Yeah.
So help is great and support is great. And that's one of the things that we teach, but you have to make sure that your support is on board right at the beginning, and you have to make sure it's the right people because it's very important.
Yeah. When you were saying that, the word curate popped into my mind, like curate your initial support squad there. Make sure that those are the people that believe in you no matter what. They got your back no matter what. And, you know, if you do make that misstep and you need a place to go, this really sucks. I don't want to start over, but I got to. That they'll be like, you got this. Let's go get some ice cream. It's okay. Or insert your preferred treat of choice. It doesn't have to be ice cream, but ice cream is mine.
Yeah. Well, I haven't met anyone who doesn't like ice cream, but I think that's so important, and it's not something that a lot of people talk about is your support. You have to make sure, like you said, you have the right support behind you. Mm-hmm. Not every support is the right support for you.
Oh no, I've told this on the podcast before, but when I first started my freelance business, I made the mistake of telling my then partner what my dreams and ambitions were. And he was one of those people that I don't think he didn't want to see me succeed, but he had doubts and fears, and he did his best to project those on me. Thankfully, at the time, I was with a writer community that they were showing me. They didn't even have to tell me what was possible. They're showing me every day just by living their lives and encouraging me and saying, we don't have anything that you don't have. So you could do this too, but fear is the only thing that's holding you back. Long story short, that partner and I are no longer together, but I'm still friends with all those friends that showed me the way. Oh, and I love all of these. I actually wrote down all of the steps. I love trust. And I love that you pointed out the two sides of trust too. Trusting that kind of the universe will provide, that you will get some sort of information that will help you make the next step, and trusting yourself. How did you discover that trust was a key component of this?
To me, and what I'm going to do is for those of your listeners, that are interested, Angie, they can go to our website, and I'll give that to you right now.
Oh, awesome.
I'll invite them to. Well, I'll invite you too to download my free ebook, and that's called Step. And it's going to teach you all about support, trust, energy, and persistence. Mm-hmm. Because within what I went over with you of the support, trust, energy, and persistence, that's what the material in the ebook is all based on. And it goes into detail. What are the exact steps that I took, and what are the exact steps that you can take? Mm-hmm. Anyone that's listening, that gets us.
That's awesome. And I love that. So I'm just going to reiterate those steps: support, trust, energy, and persistence. Oh my gosh, persistence. I can't even tell you. It's not a secret, but I like to remind people that the first time I tried to be a freelance writer, I failed. I failed miserably. But in retrospect, after trying to do it, even though I failed and I didn't look like a professional in my failure, I can guarantee you that I didn't take it very well. I didn't have the coping skills. But when I was able to look at it and kind of detach from the emotions, discovered that I was missing a certain skill set. And so that allowed me to go back and get educated in the skills I was missing and try again. And so my second time at freelancing, won't say it was easy, won't say there weren't stumbles, because there were, but I had figured out what skills I had and tried again. That persistence thing being the most important part, trying again. Oh, I love this. It's fantastic. All right. So you gave your website, but tell us again a little bit more about Common Goal and where we can find you.
Sure. You can find me at nickprefontaine.com/step. And there you can download a free ebook that will help you get started on your first step.
Fantastic. I'm going to make sure that they have a clickable link in the show notes. And I really hope that people work with you on this. It's awesome.
Thank you, Angie.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.